actually came around the side of the hill and ran across the fragments that were weathering out of the side of the hill. And right on the side of the hill was a complete bone, a limb bone. And that was a real surprise. Usually find the whole thing washed away or a little bit of it exposed in the side of a hill. You don't usually sort of find it presented to you right there, an entire bone on the side of a hill, but that's the way it was in this case. So I brought all these fragments back, and I spent quite a while looking at the specimen, and the interesting thing was that there was this one glob of sandstone and bone, and it was sort of hard to see what the vertebrate material was in this rock. But, you know, sitting and staring at it and turning it around and around because you're trying to figure out what the bone is that's inside this chunk of sandstone in 3D. And sooner or later, it dawned on me as to what this was. And then the interesting thing was this was actually a key part of the skeleton in being sure that it was a pterosaur. It turned out to be the wrist. And the wrist bones of pterosaurs are like two saddles that fit into one another. And so once I realized that this was the wrist, then it was also clear that, hey, this is a pterosaur, and this wrist is about as big as a grapefruit. So right then it was clear that, wow, we have a huge, gigantic pterosaur. When it's the skeleton, it's way up near the ceiling, it's sort of, well, it's pretty large. But when they render it with not just the skeleton, but the full form, right, the full anatomy, and they have it down sort of just above eye level or near you, then you realize, wow, this is a gigantic animal. I mean, you know, it's like a flying giraffe. It's so big. Wings are much more like a bat's wing, which of course is another flying vertebrate, right? It's a mammal. But instead of having multiple fingers extending into the wing like a bat, the pterosaurs suspended their membrane that formed the wing with only one finger. So they basically have one big long spar that extends out from the body, that's the arm, and then this one long finger that supports the wing. So it was designed, or at least evolved, to be pretty much a wing that was for gliding or... And so the idea is that it was an opportunistic feeder that landed and picked on some of the easy meat, right? It could have either been carcasses, or it could have been young dinosaurs or anything else they could get their beak on. And so it seems like it given the wing, it probably didn't spend a lot of time soaring vast distances, but went from opportunity to opportunity, flying around looking for something to scavenge. It showed that there's still interesting stuff to find, right? I mean, you don't have to go to northern Africa or the Antarctic or the Arctic or northern Canada to find interesting stuff. There's just areas in North America that hardly anybody goes and visits. They don't walk out, off into the desert or up into the mountains. And so there's still things to be discovered.